Yosemite Selfie Fall. On October 24, 2018, Vishnu Viswanath and Meenakshi Murthy set out for a romantic hiking date at Taft Point in Yosemite National Park. Vishnu, a 29-year-old software engineer, and Meenakshi, a 30-year-old travel blogger, had built a life together documenting their adventures. The married couple from India had moved to California seeking both career opportunities and breathtaking landscapes to photograph. Around 4 in the afternoon, the couple positioned themselves near the edge of Taft Point for a selfie. The overlook offered stunning views across Yosemite Valley, drawing photographers from around the world. No safety barriers protected the sheer drop. Witnesses later reported seeing them standing dangerously close to the edge, focused on capturing the perfect shot. Then both lost their balance. They fell 800 feet down the rocky cliff face. Other hikers immediately called for help, but the remote location made rapid response impossible. Park rangers initiated a search when the couple failed to return by nightfall. The next morning, Yosemite search and rescue teams discovered their bodies at the base of the cliff. Recovery required helicopters and technical climbing equipment due to the treacherous terrain. Medical examiners determined both died from multiple blunt force injuries sustained in the fall. The investigation ruled the deaths accidental, with no evidence of foul play. The National Park Service later increased safety warnings about photograph-related risks at overlooks throughout Yosemite. Milwaukee stolen car. On January 22, 2023, Marquis Hackett and Tiffany Cleaves Moore were enjoying their first date in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Marquis, a 47-year-old father of 3, had told his mother about the date earlier that day, excitedly saying it might be the one. The couple had dinner at a restaurant and were heading home around 7:30 in the evening. They stopped at a red light at the intersection of 20th Street and North Avenue. 5 teenagers between the ages of 13 and 15 were fleeing police in a stolen Kia after committing an armed robbery earlier that day. Milwaukee police had been pursuing the vehicle through city streets. The teens approached the intersection at high speed, running the red light without slowing. The stolen car slammed directly into Marquis and Tiffany's vehicle at the intersection. The impact was devastating. Marquis died instantly from the collision. Tiffany was seriously injured and rushed to the hospital. When she regained consciousness, she had a broken back and a bruised lung. She remembered talking with Marquis at the red light just before everything went black. The last thing he had said was how much he enjoyed talking about his son. All 5 teenagers were taken into custody at the scene. One teen was later convicted on multiple felony charges including second-degree reckless homicide. The case sparked discussions about juvenile justice and repeat offenders in Milwaukee. Speeding crash aftermath. On August 4, 2021, Luis Fernando Savalos and Alexis Rodriguez went on their first date in North Bergen, New Jersey. Luis, 24, picked up Alexis, 27, late in the evening for what they hoped would be an exciting night out. They drove through the quiet streets as the night deepened. Around 1:58 in the morning, Officer John Nunez pulled them over for speeding. The traffic stop proceeded routinely. Officer Nunez issued citations and warned them about the dangers of excessive speed. His body camera recorded the entire interaction, capturing Luis accepting the tickets and promising to slow down. Alexis told the officer they were on their first date. The officer released them at 2:08, and they pulled back onto the road. Just 15 minutes later, at 2:13, their vehicle collided with a tractor-trailer at high speed. The impact was catastrophic. Both Luis and Alexis died instantly from massive traumatic injuries. Emergency responders arrived within minutes of receiving the collision report. Paramedics pronounced both dead at the scene, unable to provide any medical intervention. The top of their Kia was completely sheared off by the force of the collision. The investigation reviewed Officer Nunez's body camera footage and determined the crash resulted from excessive speed, despite the recent warning. The tragic case sparked community discussions about reckless driving and the importance of heeding traffic citations. Balloon Fiesta disaster. On June 26, 2021, 2 couples embarked on a romantic hot air balloon ride near Albuquerque, New Mexico. Susan Montoya, 65, and her husband John, 61, joined their friends Mary Martinez, 59, and Martine Martinez, 62. All 4 were New Mexico residents, excited for the dawn adventure. Susan's co-workers at Georgia O'Keeffe Elementary School had pooled money as a farewell gift, since she was transferring to another school. They arrived at Balloon Fiesta Park as the sun began rising over the Sandia Mountains. Around 7 in the morning, their balloon lifted gracefully into the clear morning sky, with pilot Nicholas Molesky at the controls. The pilot navigated across the landscape as passengers marveled at the views below. Wind conditions seemed manageable initially. Then the balloon drifted toward a power line corridor that cut through the area. The pilot attempted to gain altitude but miscalculated the distance. The balloon basket struck high-voltage power lines. Electricity arced through the wicker structure, and flames erupted instantly. The basket detached and plummeted to the ground as fire consumed the envelope. The gondola crashed into an intersection on the street below. Witnesses on the ground called 911 at 7:05. Albuquerque Fire Rescue arrived by 7:15, but the scene was already catastrophic. Susan, Mary, Martin, and pilot Molesky died at the scene. John was rushed to the hospital but succumbed to his injuries. The National Transportation Safety Board investigation cited pilot error and drug impairment as primary factors, leading to stricter balloon operation regulations. Parasailing cable snap. On May 30, 2022, Supraja Alaparthy and her husband Srinivas Rao celebrated their anniversary with a parasailing adventure in the Florida Keys near Marathon. Supraja, 33, and Srinivas Rao, along with their young son and nephew, had traveled from Illinois for the special occasion. They booked with a parasailing company around 3 in the afternoon. The weather seemed perfect for the experience as they boarded the boat. Around 5 in the afternoon, Supraja soared high above the emerald waters with the two boys tethered to the boat below by Captain Daniel Couch. Strong winds suddenly picked up across the Gulf, straining the cable system. The operator struggled to maintain control as gusts intensified. Unable to reel in the parasail, Captain Couch made the decision to cut the tow line with his pocket knife while all 3 passengers were still attached. The parasail, with the 3 still strapped in, dropped toward the water. They were dragged across the waves by the inflated parasail for nearly 2 miles. Then they slammed violently into a concrete pillar of the old 7-mile bridge. The impact was devastating. A nearby boater witnessed the tragedy and came to help. Rescuers pulled them from the water and transported them to the hospital. Supraja was pronounced dead at the scene from her injuries. The 2 boys survived with serious injuries. Federal investigators determined operator negligence caused the accident, resulting in manslaughter charges against Captain Couch and significantly stricter parasailing safety regulations across Florida. Bungee jumping confusion. On July 18, 2021, Yesenia Morales and her boyfriend traveled to the Sky Bungee Jumping facility in Amaga, Colombia for an adventure date. Yesenia, a 25-year-old lawyer, had never tried bungee jumping before but was excited to experience the thrill with her boyfriend. The couple arrived at the bridge in the northern Colombian municipality as part of the facility's busy Sunday operations. They were the 90th jumpers scheduled for that day. They waited in line at the bridge platform high above the ground. Yesenia's boyfriend prepared to jump first, already attached to his safety equipment. The bungee operator called out, "Jump now," to signal him to leap. Yesenia misunderstood the instruction and thought the signal was meant for her. She rushed forward and jumped off the bridge before anyone could stop her. She was wearing only a harness but had not yet been connected to the bungee cord. Yesenia plummeted 150 feet down toward the ground below with nothing to break her fall. Witnesses captured the horrific moment on video. Her boyfriend immediately rushed to her aid at the bottom and attempted CPR, desperately trying to save her. Firefighters arrived at the scene within minutes, but could do nothing. They pronounced Yesenia dead from the massive trauma sustained in the fall. An investigation was launched into whether the facility had proper licenses and safety protocols. The tragedy highlighted the critical importance of clear communication and strict adherence to safety procedures at extreme sports facilities. Houston sidewalk crash. On April 19, 2023, Joseph McMullen and Brianna Iturino enjoyed their first date at a karaoke bar in Houston's Montrose neighborhood. Joseph, 33, had met Brianna through a dating app, and they spent the evening singing and laughing together. Around 2:25 in the morning, they left Avant Garden and walked to Voodoo Donut for a late-night snack. The street was quiet in the early hours as they strolled along Westheimer Road with their donuts and coffee. As they walked side by side on the sidewalk, a Porsche driven by Christina Rose Chambers suddenly veered off the road. The 32-year-old driver had been drinking heavily that night. Her vehicle jumped the curb at high speed and struck Joseph directly. The impact threw him violently about 30 feet through the air. Brianna narrowly escaped being hit herself. Witnesses immediately called 911 as Brianna screamed for help beside Joseph's motionless body. Houston police arrived within minutes and found Chambers still at the scene, showing clear signs of intoxication. Paramedics attempted to revive Joseph, but he had died from massive blunt force trauma. Officers arrested Chambers on the spot for intoxication manslaughter. Her blood alcohol content was nearly 4 times the legal limit. Surveillance cameras from nearby businesses captured the entire incident. Chambers faced criminal charges and was later convicted of manslaughter, receiving an 11-year prison sentence. Valentine's Day strike. On February 14, 2024, Richard Borger and his girlfriend Carmen Gonzalez took a romantic evening stroll through their Covina, California neighborhood. Richard, 65, had planned a special Valentine's Day celebration. Around 7:30 in the evening, they walked hand in hand along West Edna Place. The quiet residential street seemed safe and peaceful. They had been together for 8 years after both experiencing devastating personal tragedies. A vehicle approached from behind as they walked near the curb. The driver failed to notice the couple in the dimming light. The car struck both pedestrians without warning. Richard was pushed violently into the curb, his head impacting the concrete edge with tremendous force. Carmen was knocked unconscious, but avoided the worst of the collision. Neighbors witnessed the accident, immediately called 911. Paramedics arrived quickly and assessed both victims. They transported Richard to the hospital, but his head trauma proved fatal. Doctors pronounced him dead despite emergency interventions. Carmen awoke to find her partner of 8 years gone. The driver remained at the scene and cooperated with investigators. Police determined the incident was accidental, with no evidence of impairment or reckless driving. The community later called for improved pedestrian safety measures along residential streets. Thanks for watching. If you want more content like this, subscribing would really help. See you next time.